you online. Okay, so hold on to start with our program. Okay, I would like to call, of course, our president, the RAGCED president right now to do the welcome remarks, Margaret Williamson.
Thank you, Christina, and good day, everyone. Welcome to the Rotary Action Group for Community Economic Development webinar. The topic, Building Community Economies. Our board of directors has planned a series of webinars designed to help you plan, implement, and assess sustainable projects. We are glad that you have joined us, and I am sure that you will find the information that our speakers will share with you helpful and valuable. Jim Luton will now introduce our first speaker.
I was unmuted.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. Hello, everybody. It's my honor and privilege to introduce our first speaker for today. Valerie Wafer joined Rotary in 2005 in order to fuel her passion for making an impact that matters. Valerie was district governor of Rotary International District 7070, my district, governed the Toronto area in 2013-14. Valerie's journey as a Rotarian has involved a number of international roles. She is an international trainer and was a member of the host organizing committee for the Toronto 2018 Rotary Convention. And I hope a lot of you were here at the time. She has represented Rotary International presidents in the United States, Norway, Nigeria, and the Philippines. Valerie was elected to the Rotary International Board of Directors for the years 2020 to 2022 and served as vice president for 2021-22. During Valerie's tenure as a Rotarian, she has engaged and led many initiatives, including a mission to Kosovo with the Gift of Life International. She was a vocational training team leader to Australia in 2010, focusing on youth mental health, a national immunization day in India in 2012, and has traveled to Kenya and Tanzania to audit long-term Rotary Foundation grant activity. In her non-Rotary life, Valerie has a 27 career as the owner of 14 restaurants in Toronto. The brand, Tim Hortons, is the most recognized and iconic franchise in Canada. The Wafers operation was best known for its inclusive hiring practices and accessibility. And just as a matter of interest, I was just in the Philippines and saw a number of Tim Hortons franchises there as well. So they are definitely global. As the chair of the Rotary International Global DEI Task Force, Valerie brings a strong background of learned and lived experience to this important topic. Valerie and her husband of 36 years, Mark, are Paul Harris Fellows, Bequest Society members, and major donors to the Rotary Foundation. Let's please give a big welcome to Valerie. Valerie, it's all yours.
Thank you, PDG Jim. And yes, we are from the same district, and I welcome and honor our friendship. But hello, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure and honor to be with you today. And I am a member of the Rotary Action Group for Community Economic Development, and I serve on the RAGCED board as the liaison to Rotary International. So today I want to give you a very brief overview of the importance of RAGCED and Rotary International's focus on community development. So nearly 800 million people live on less than $1.90 a day. And as people of action, Rotary members are passionate about providing sustainable solutions to poverty. And our Rotary members and the Rotary Foundation work to support and strengthen local entrepreneurs. We do this by carrying out service projects that enhance economic and community development and create opportunities for decent and productive work with equity and inclusion in mind. We also strengthen local entrepreneurs and community leaders, particularly women in impoverished communities. We provide training and access to well-paying jobs and financial management institutions through our work under the area of focus, economic and community development. Last year, the Rotary Foundation invested through global grants $9.2 million to grow local economies and reduce poverty. And we know that 795 million people, or 1 in 9 in the world, do not have enough to eat. And 60% of the world's hungriest people are women and girls. If we look to Rotary's strategic partnerships, we know we're not alone, and we are stronger when we collaborate and work together. UNICEF and their work focus on many areas that are strategically aligned to Rotary, and we work and collaborate closely. The WHO, a partner in health and the eradication of polio and other diseases, responding to health needs and crises that are often a result of poverty. And we know there's a strong alliance with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and Rotary's 7 areas of focus. They are related and they cross over in their objectives and their goals. If we can address poverty, we can address water and sanitation, health, literacy, peace, and the environment. Knowing that the #1 goal is the elimination of poverty everywhere, and while poverty has been decreasing worldwide, we also know the challenge we face today, and that is that more than 4 years of progress against poverty has been erased by the pandemic of COVID-19. And rising inflation and the impacts of war in Ukraine have set us back even further. If we want to live in a world where everyone has the opportunities and resources they need to thrive, where nobody is discriminated against, and where everybody's rights are protected, we need social equity. But we won't achieve that in a world by treating everyone the same, because not everyone is the same. Social equity is impartiality, fairness, and justice for all people in society. And it must take into account systemic inequalities to ensure everyone in a community has access to the same opportunities and outcomes. Equity of all kinds acknowledges that inequalities exist and that we work to eliminate them. Unfortunately, one of the main inequalities in many parts of the world is gender-based discrimination and the accompanying challenges to escape poverty. And this leads me to the importance of RAGCED, our partnerships and our cadre of experts. Our members promote economic and community development and reduce poverty in underserved communities through training, well-paying jobs, and access to financial management institutions. Projects range from providing people with equipment to vocational training and others. Our members work to strengthen local entrepreneurs and community leaders, again, particularly women in these impoverished communities. This global action group is a source of knowledge and expertise to help Rotarians plan, implement, and manage impactful and sustainable economic development projects that create lasting change in poor and underserved communities. The key words are impactful and sustainable. Impactful. What are the changes in the beneficiary community, both financially and socially? For example, a project that brings a community needed water supply. The project is successful because it provides and ensures clean water to every member of the community. The measurable impact is how many children stayed in school, how much time was saved by the family unit, usually the girls, and the measurable impact on the health of the community. Sustainable and lasting change is how we ensure the benefits will continue long after the initial Rotary participation has been completed. Giving loans or financial support alone will not alleviate poverty. Programs of support with tools and training, followed by regular follow-up by mentors and peer-to-peer learning. The sustainable change isn't just that there's more water in the village, but that more women are employed and that there's self-confidence, being able to contribute, being a role model, and earning respect. The Rotary Action Group for Community Economic Development has experts and best practices that can help you create successful, sustainable economic development projects in your community. Our members are technical experts and experts in the field and can provide that needed knowledge and support to Rotary clubs undertaking economic development projects. Members' experience can help guide you through critical needs assessment, introduce you and make connections with project partners, and investigate funding sources. So I encourage everyone to visit our website to hear the stories of impact, because there are so many of them. Case studies that can be replicated and used as learning opportunities and best practices. And I don't need to remind everyone that Rotarians are people of action, and together we create opportunities to help individuals and communities thrive financially and socially. So my call to action to you all today is to share your story, connect with other Rotarians, share your projects, tell your success stories, but also share your challenges. Support each other to provide social equity to communities around the world. So thank you very much for allowing me just to give you that brief overview of why the RAGCED is so important to our members and to providing that opportunity for the world to eliminate poverty and to thrive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Val. Thank you for that. Before we continue, any comments and questions, please, you can type or on the chat box, please. So to moving forward, for our second speaker, may I call on Irshad. Irshad is our RAGCED membership director to introduce our second speaker. Hi, Irshad. Mute, Irshad. Irshad. Hi. Okay, let me unmute. Irshad.
Thank you. Thank you for unmuting me. Thank you very much. In fact, it's an immense pleasure for me to introduce a Rotarian like Steve Rickard, who is a dedicated Rotarian and served as the president of the Rotary Club of Calgary West in the year 2000, and also served District 5360 as governor in 2005. He was the founding president of the Rotarian Action Group for Microcredit in 2007, as well as the founder of the District 5360 Microcredit Task Force. He is the recipient of Service Above Self Award of the Rotary International. Apart from his considerable contribution as a Rotarian over the past 30 years, Steve has been tireless advocate for microfinance. His efforts to champion microfinance have taken him to many parts of the world as a speaker at numerous clubs and conferences. He is currently chair emeritus of RAGCED, that is Rotary Action Group for Community Economic Development. Steve graduated from the McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario, with an honors degree in urban studies. A good friend of Steve invited him to join Rotary back in 1984 when he was a businessman and living with a young family. Steve lives with his wife, Mary, who is also a Rotarian, and in the year 2020, they have celebrated their 45th anniversary of marriage. So congratulations, Steve. They have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Now, grandchildren are growing and business is winding down. Steve has more time for the good things in life, such as their cottage in the Rocky Mountain. I present Steve before you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irsar. I appreciate those kind comments. I'm pleased to be here, like Valerie. It's kind of an honor and a pleasure. Sort of because I'm going to speak about the history and the future of what was RAGM and now RAGCED. It's kind of appropriate that I start back at the beginning, and I'm going to sort of read the comments because there are some that I really want to make sure are clear, but I would be available for questions afterwards if that's what our host wants us to do. So let me get started. Prior to the existence of RAGM, I want to set the stage by saying it was 1987 and there was a palpable humanitarian crisis in the news. 40,000 children under the age of 5 were dying daily of hunger and malnutrition related diseases. I was attending a leadership workshop and we were encouraged to submit a humanitarian project that was so large that no one individual could claim the ego satisfaction of having overcome it. I had been a Rotarian at that point for 4 years, where grants were being made every day for health, hunger, and humanity, sometimes referred to as the 3H program. I knew in my heart, without knowing how, that Rotary could and would play a leading part in addressing this hunger program. A humanitarian organization called the Microcredit Summit had formulated a plan to promote the growth of microcredit borrowers from the then existent 7 million to 100 million by the year 2005. My inspiration came in the form of a presentation by Dr. Mohammed Yunus from the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. He described from his experience how banking the poor was possible if their individual cross guarantees were used to support their loans. The repayments were virtually 100% on time and completed with interest. By harnessing this near perfect return on investment, I became convinced that microcredit could expand exponentially and the hunger solution could be reached in our lifetimes. Each borrower had on average 5 dependents. If the success story of even one microcredit bank could be replicated by each of Rotary's 35,000 clubs, we could reach 100 million borrowers and uplift 500 million people by 2005. Now that was scalable, sustainable development about which Rotary and Rotarians everywhere could be proud. Mohammed Yunus would go on to receive the Rotarian of the Year $100,000 prize at our 1999 Rotary Convention in Singapore, but I get ahead of myself. A precedent has been set by Rotary Village banks, which followed the Grameen Bank model, but lacked the broad-based awareness and resource funding. There were up to 10,000 organizations involved with the Microcredit Summit, which was a 4-year repeating global conference dedicated to acknowledging the growth of microcredit. The summit also fulfilled goals that would become the cornerstone of the Rotarian Action Group for Microcredit, including communication, coordination, education, and networking. A few of the many organizations became world leaders, including FINCA, World Vision, and Opportunity International. Champions were beginning to appear from clubs around the world as we repeated the message during our visits to clubs, district conferences, and international conventions. We found the best fit with Opportunity International, but by 2007, a core group of Rotarians had raised and distributed over $1 million in funding for the use of different, that is, various sized microcredit organization. This block of funding had been largely done without the help of Rotary's 3H program, as the grant reporting and administration were very time consuming and indeed would undergo a major transformation to become what we know today as global grants. the RAGM setup. Over the years, Rotary had a fellowship program where like-minded Rotarians would enjoy each other's company while working together, sometimes for the benefit of humanity and sometimes for just good old friendship in car clubs or travel societies and arts appreciation events. By 2005, Rotary International leadership was meeting regularly in Evanston, Illinois, USA, to evolve a plan to give special recognition to those Rotarian Fellowship subgroups that were interested in crystallizing their plans for humanitarian relief. They were being called action groups. Carolyn Jones, a past Rotary District Governor from Alaska and one of Rotary's first female directors, approached our core group of microcredit aficionados to determine if we would form an action group for microcredit. And in 2007, the idea came to fruition with our certification, and RAGM was born. Between the year of our birth and 2010, RAGM played out the role of our cornerstone objectives, repeating them: communicate, coordinate, educate, and network. It did take a while for the board to master the administration controls of a database of members, the regular distribution of newsletters, plus the training and placement of knowledgeable presenters. With greater global presence, however, microcredit projects were being undertaken in all regions of the world, and the RAGM board of directors had to expand to 25 members to be inclusive and truly represent the global nature of Rotary microcredit. Next, we turn to RAGM with microcredit. In 2010, an individual on the RAGM board recognized that aside from the value of many one-off projects, a program, that is multiple projects, involving multiple year, multi-club, and multiple thousands of dollars was missing and necessary. The Honduras Economic and Community Development Program became the official RAGM flagship for the emulation and fulfillment of a program approached to Rotary microcredit. By 2020, HECD had raised $2.5 million in 7 phases and helped sponsor thousands of borrowers through the auspices of Opportunity International Canada. Switching to microfinance. As microcredit banking services were being extended, it was becoming obvious that support for the borrowers in their other needs was both possible and productive in making the best use of the newfound entrepreneurial spirit. Inclusion and diversity in 2017 called for the emergence of support, such as for those with inadequate schooling to manage businesses. So the financing of schools plus student loans began to appear. Family counseling, maternal health, training for trades, and leadership development began in the communities where microcredit facilities were available. To signify the additional areas of community growth, RAGM switched from the limiting hallmark definition of microcredit to microfinance, converting to community and economic development. Advancing to the 2020, the accumulation of an ever-broadening microfinance base led to our new strategic plan that better reflects Rotary's 6th avenue of focus, that of community economic development. The plan recognized that our future would build on the foundation of materials and expertise associated with Rotary's CED, Community Economic Development, area of focus. It recognizes that microfinance is one element of community economic development, and it was appropriate to meet the needs of a broader base of Rotarians and beneficiaries. At the July 2020 annual general meeting, then, we officially became the Rotarian Action Group for Community Economic Development, what we now refer to as RAGCED. Focusing on the future, Rotary is not alone in the recognition of community and economic development as a key to the unfoldment of human resources. The United Nations has set out 17 broadly based sustainable development goals in addition to community economic development in areas like education and maternal health. To put heft into SDGs, and prior to the COVID pandemic, there was a fund set up of $72 billion, $8 billion of which came from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Standing on the shoulders of our forebears then, and drawing on the SDG funds, and of course Rotary, the next generation of visionaries have the clear goal of eliminating the remaining scourge of humanity of the 7,000 children, albeit down from 40,000 children, dying daily of hunger and malnutrition-related diseases. The good news is that through microcredit and the now recognized 200 million borrowers, plus their 5 times multiplier for aged parents and young children, 1 billion people have been touched by microfinance. RAGCED is poised and eager to facilitate Rotarians in their efforts to improve world through economic and community development. Thank you very much for listening to my remarks. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Steve, for that. Thank you for enlightening us how Ragam and now RAGCED started. Okay. Okay, this is just the first of the next 9 series of our webinars, and we would be happy to see you again in the next one. So for our third speaker, I will call Biswajit Ghosh, our RAGCED Educational Resources Director, to introduce our third speaker. Ghosh, are you there? Ghosh, let me find you. Can you find?
Yeah, he's muted. He's muted.
He needs to raise his hand, so we identify
he
him.
raised his hand. You see him?
Hold on. There he is. Unmute. I'm trying to unmute. Okay, there you go, Gosh.
Hello, Christina. Thanks for the opportunity to introduce our next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce our third speaker for the RAGCED webinar today, my dear friend, Nick Frankel. Nick has a very illustrious career in Rotary for the last 20 years. He joined Rotary Club of Westlake Village Sunrise in 2003. He has been the club president in 2006-07. And at that time, his club was selected as the best medium club of the district and the best large service organization in his home community. Thereafter, Nick went to serve as the district governor of Rotary District 5240 in the Rotary year 2016-17. And he's currently the district's stewardship chair. Nick is a major donor, member of the Bequeath Society and of the Paul Harris Society. Nick had an equally illustrious career in the field of software development, management, and international telecommunications, and something which will be of great help to RAGCED as we try to use more and more of technology and leverage the value of technology. I think we'll richly benefit from his experience. Within RAGCED, Nick is the immediate past chair, and he has helped Rotarians implement projects across the world. He also mentors students in the Pepperdine University Master's Program in Social Entrepreneurship. So he's a great mentor and guide, including me as well. So Nick has been supporting projects across the world, and he truly believes that Rotarians can change the world one life at a time. So eagerly looking forward to hear from my friend Nick today. The floor is yours, sir.
Nick, hold on, you're muted. Hold on, how to unmute? Alberto, can you unmute?
You should be good to go.
Now he's okay.
Okay. Good morning. And I need to be able to share my screen, Christina.
Alberto,
You can
share
share it, Nick.
It's telling me it disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Now?
Hooray! We're good to go. And let me just go through this for a minute. Why isn't it sharing? All right. For some reason, there's a. Hang on for a minute. It's not letting me do what I want it to do, but we will figure out why. Hang on. There we go. It's not letting me. It's not letting me share my other screen. No, this is. There's something seriously wrong going on right now. Hang on.
It is sharing your
It's
screen.
showing.
We're seeing
Yeah,
it.
but it needs to share. It needs to be able to see.
Yeah, on the
Give me- let me-
lower right.
Be patient with me for a minute.
No worries.
Stop share. You know, I did this whole thing online by myself this morning and it's not seeing myself. It's not seeing my other screen. There's no
Okay.
idea what is going on. All right, we'll work it out. Hang on.
You want me to share it, Nick?
Let me try one more thing. For some reason, it is not letting me share my second screen. And I've never had this problem before, which is why I sent you a copy. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and share it, Tina?
It's ready,
Let's
just
see,
let me know.
let me try one thing and see if this helps.
Sure, no worries. So while Nick is working on his screen, hello and greetings to everyone again who came late.
No, okay. Are we ready? Are you shared?
No, we can't see anything.
All right, hang on. Let me try one more thing.
Yeah.
We should have gotten on early and tested this thing out because for some
No
reason.
worries.
Come on. Share screen. It is not seeing my second screen. I have never had this happen before, but we'll figure it out. Hang on.
Yep. No worries. So,
Well, I have an idea.
so while waiting, Roberta, do you want to play some videos?
No, just it'll take me
Okay.
about 1 minute to get this done. Let's move this guy. Let's go to PowerPoint.
So usually, if you want to
It's-
share the second screen, you can just drag the presentation to the first screen, if
That's
that's what you would like to do.
That's exactly what I'm doing is I'm reversing.
Yeah,
Nick,
I had the same
if you
problem
already
when I did.
sent, if you send the presentation to Christina, she can share it.
Yeah, Christina, why don't you go ahead and I'll tell you when to.
Okay, I'll share the screen now.
My apologies to everyone. As I said,
problem.
Okay,
Okay, hang on for 1
can
minute.
you see the screen now?
Everybody
see
should be. able to see
Yes.
the screen.
Yeah, it's good to go.
We can see it.
Okay,
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, just give me
go
one.
ahead,
moment.
Nick.
Nick, you can, Christina will
No,
advance
I
the
know,
slideshow. Okay, good.
You can.
All righty. I think we have solved the problems of the world, and my apologies for whatever the technical difficulties are. Greetings, everyone, wherever you may be, and a very good morning from Southern California. I want to thank you for joining us and for the opportunity to spend time with you today to talk about community economic development and how together we can build local economies. The Rotary Action Group for Community Economic Development is a global organization that is your source of knowledge and expertise to help Rotarians just like you plan, implement, and manage impactful and sustainable economic development projects that will create lasting change in poor and underserved communities. And as Valerie reminded us, the key words are impactful and sustainable. Impactful. What are the changes to the beneficiary community? My Rotary Club has just completed a project in Venezuela to provide medical equipment and supplies to a Rotary-operated clinic. The project was successful. All of the equipment has been delivered. But what is the impact? The clinic is now seeing twice as many patients as it did before the new equipment, and its cost for seeing each patient has been reduced by 30%. Sustainable. How do we ensure that the benefits of the project will continue long after initial Rotary participation has been completed? And for the next few minutes, I'd like to share some of the lessons we have learned and to introduce you to entrepreneurial projects from different parts of the world. Community economic back one, yeah. Back one,
one.
Christina. No.
It's this one.
Okay.
Which one?
No, go forward. Go
Okay.
forward. Go forward.
This is the one.
And there we go. In 2015, the United Nations created 17 sustainable economic community goals. The number one goal was the elimination of poverty everywhere. And for years, the trend in poverty reduction was consistent and downward. We now project that more than 150 million people will return to poverty as the result of the pandemic. Go to the next one, and I think we're back in sync. When you think of community, I see what the problem is. Community economic development comes in many shapes and sizes. The best way to uplift a community's economy can only be determined by completing an assessment and evaluating the best options for addressing the highest priority needs. Don't be surprised if you find that economy may not be the most important priority at that time, and you have to divert your efforts to what the community says its greatest need is. When we think of community economic development, the first thing that comes to mind is access to capital. Capital may be needed, but it is often not the most important element. There are actually 6 pillars that support a successful and sustainable economic development project. All projects begin with a community needs assessment. Next slide, please. All projects begin with a community assessment. What are the economic and cultural characteristics of the community? What are its economic needs? What are the business opportunities and markets? The assessment confirms that economic development is a high priority, that the community is receptive to ideas of business creation and expansion, and that there is opportunity available for new entrepreneurs. Next slide. The most important pillar is education. Education provides understanding of business skills and supports creation of a business plan that becomes the roadmap for what is needed to start and then sustain the economic development project. Next slide. Capital provides the resources needed to support the business plan. It can be money, it can be equipment, it can be services, and it can be human capital. In every case, there needs to be sufficient capital at the time that it is needed to support initial business investment and a method for managing and evaluating its impact. Next slide. Mentoring, the second most important pillar. A mentor is a local business person who commits his or her time and knowledge to support an entrepreneur or group of entrepreneurs from the first gleam of an idea through the creation of business and beyond. The mentor's role is to review strategy and performance, help anticipate and mitigate problems, and celebrate successes. Next slide. Net business growth comes from adding new customers or adding products. Creating networking opportunities is the next logical step once the business has reached its initial goals and is looking to grow. Next slide. Monitoring and evaluation tells us how we're doing and what corrective actions need to be made. It also provides feedback to your investors and to your community. Knowing the specific results of the project must then be followed by determining the impact on the community, financially and socially. A project may require all 6 pillars, may not require all 6 pillars, but each of them must be considered as you create and plan your project. Let's take a look at some examples. Next slide. In 1997, the Rotary Club of Abingdon-Vesper initiated a project to help the farmers in the Mubende district of Uganda. This initial project has gone on to impact the lives of thousands of residents of Mubende and is being replicated elsewhere. Sowing the seeds provides farmer training, education support, vocational training, environmental improvements, and microcredit to farmers living in the Mubende district in central Uganda. The project is led by Maya Smulders and the Rotary Club of Abingdon-Vespers, and they have created a non-governmental organization, Learning for Life Africa, in Uganda to help them manage the project. So how does it work? As with all community economics, next slide. As with all community economic development, next slide, please. As with all economic development projects, the critical element is education. Key farmer trainers are the critical element creating improved farming, microcredit, fuel-saving stones, and school development projects. They come from all over Mubende to attend a one-year training course in sustainable organic agriculture and financial services. And in return for receiving this free education, the key farmer trainers work as trainers and advisors to farmer groups and schools for 4 years. And their role is of vital importance as it gives farmers, teachers, and parents access to a wealth of agricultural knowledge. Next slide, please. Microcredit. Establishing microcredit begins with an interest-free 3-year loan to an established group of farmers, usually between 25 and 40 members, to create a village savings group. Small 10-month loans are provided to members of the group so they can buy or rent land, pay for labor, or buy an animal or seeds. After 3 years, the initial group loan is repaid, but the group will have the equivalent amount of the original microcredit loan now as its own resource. The group can continue lending to its members, and the return capital is now moved to create a new group. Next slide. Fuel-saving stoves are so important. Cooking on open fires and smoke-filled kitchens causes eye damage, heart and lung disease, and harms unborn children. The World Health Organization tells us that 1 hour of cooking smoke is equivalent to the smoke of 400 cigarettes. And local women spend up to 5 hours every day collecting firewood. Key farmer trainers assist in building fuel-saving stoves at the schools and homes. And in 1 year alone, they created more than 2,000 new stoves. No one wants to return to an open fire. Next slide. I'd like you to meet Susan. Susan borrowed 200,000 Uganda shillings. She bought a calf and sold it for 500,000 shillings. She paid off her loan, bought land, and paid school fees for her children. Susan got a new loan and bought another calf, but unfortunately, she needed money for the hospital. She sold that calf early for $400,000, but kept enough to buy another calf, which is already worth 450,000 shillings. Susan has learned to plan. Susan is in control of her life. Susan is an empowered and contributing member of her community. Next slide. To date, loans have been made to 135 farmer groups with a total of 4,000 members, impacting the lives of 25,000 people. Farmers benefit from agricultural know-how and skills. Increased income eliminates hunger and provides for education, water filters, farm and home improvements, and easily produce fuel-saving stoves, return time, improve health, and protect the environment. Next slide. Let's visit a vocational training project in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Next slide. Stolac, a community in Bosnia and Herzegovina, is made up of 3 different ethnic groups that have virtually no interaction with each other. Their children go to 3 different schools. And at the time this project was implemented, unemployment for women was 85%. A Rotary grant helped to create a cooperative and to teach the women to grow, sun-dry, and sell tomatoes in the local market as a means of improving the economic condition of the women and of the community. Next slide. Some of the benefits. Production of tomatoes is increased by 20%. 30 additional women have now applied for joining and want to join the cooperative. 4 new market sites were established where the product is being sold, and there's been a 20% increase in local income from the beginning of the project to when they were measured at the end of the project. Click once more, Christina. There is also a significant peace benefit as the women of the 3 ethnic groups have begun to rebuild trust in each other and in their community. Next slide. When we think of microfinance projects, we often visualize a developing country where loans in small dollar amounts can lift people and communities out of poverty. But you know, microfinance has the same impact in the developed world. Next slide. With my community in California suffering from the Great Recession and having participated in successful microfinance project in other communities, local Rotarian asked, why not here? They received a $240,000 grant for microfinance services from the Rotary Foundation, the first grant for microfinance to be performed in a developed country. A partnership was formed with Women's Economic Ventures, a local microfinance institution with a long and successful record, who confirmed the target population, low-income, Spanish-speaking women in 2 counties, Ventura and Santa Barbara. Next slide. Since our target population spoke Spanish, half of the grant funds went to create a Spanish language curriculum and education plan, train trainers in how to present the Spanish language program, identified mentors who spoke Spanish. It also provided an individual to help outreach to our target community who didn't understand what microfinance was, so that they could learn about the opportunities available to them and how they could participate in this important program. Next slide. The other half of the grant went into a revolving loan fund. And as of June 2021, I don't have the 2022 numbers yet, the fund has supported 35 businesses with loans totaling almost $360,000 and a repayment rate of 97%. More important, the impact on the community is revenues to the community that exceed more than $4 million per year. Interestingly enough, I met with the CEO of Women's Economic Ventures about 30 days ago, and 41% of their applicants now come through the Spanish-speaking track established by this Rotary matching grant. Next slide. I'd like you to meet my friend Reina Chavez, a young Hispanic woman living with her family in Ventura, California. In 2011, Reina was working in the medical field, and she found it difficult to find scrubs. She thought it might be a problem to others, so she started a mobile business, bringing scrubs for sale directly to medical facilities. Her success led her to open her first store. But when she needed to buy inventory, transitional banks were not an option. Reina received a loan funded by the Rotary Foundation grant. It allowed her to quit her full-time job so she could focus completely on her business and her family. Today, Reina has 3 stores with 8 employees serving the medical community. And she also serves as mentor to new entrepreneurs in both English and Spanish. Microfinance projects are being sponsored by Rotary clubs across the US and in other developed programs as communities open and begin to rebuild their economies with similar results around the world. Next slide. Rotarians are people of action. Working together, we can create opportunities to help individuals and communities thrive financially and socially. Next slide. The Rotary Action Group for Community Economic Development has experts and best practices that can help you and your club and your district create successful, sustainable economic development projects in your own backyard or in the backyard of a community that you support. Next slide. Now that you've heard our stories, it's your turn. Find your project. Change lives. Write your story and share it with others. Next slide. For more information, visit our website or Facebook page, or send us an email, because together we can make a difference. Together we can build local economies. We can imagine communities where the economies thrive. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the opportunity to spend some time with you. And Christina, I'll turn it back to you. And I'm so glad I sent this to you last night.
No worries. Thank you, Nick, for that. And to facilitate the Q&A for this session, I'll call on Jim, the past chair of RAGCED. Jim?
Thank you, Christina. For anybody that does want to ask questions, please put your question on the chat, and I'll put it out to our speakers. We do have we do have one question, and I think probably Nick, I'm going to push it to you. It's James. He says, how do we get funds from RAGCED to improve on funding ongoing microcredit projects? And he names in particular his Rotary Club. It's a Rotary Club of Bongbo in District 9110.
Thank you very much for that question. RAGCED does not itself provide funds, but what RAGCED does, it has mechanisms to help you and your partners in the project raise funds. There are multiple ways to do it. We can help you. We have partnerships with microfinance institutions all over the world. We can help you outreach to the more than 1,000 members in RAGCED and their clubs. There is a WhatsApp group called Global Grant Partners that provides access to people around the world who want to fund projects. There is a website called Matching Grants or globalgrants.org that provides access to people. So our job is not to fund, but to help you fund. Just like the people we're helping with our economy, we want to make you self-sufficient so you can solve the problems, and we will help you find funds. We will teach you, we will help you learn how to manage the funds and to manage the impact that you're having on your local community. You can send an email to info@ragced.org and we will go to work for you.
James, I hope that answers your question. Do we have any more questions? I don't see any more on the chat box. I don't know if we want to have
I'll
anybody
suggest-
raise their hand.
Jim, I suggest that since Nick mentioned the Global Grant Partners, to give the chance to Kishan Goenka, who is here. He's from that group of the Global Grant Partners.
Okay, Kishan?
Where is Kishan?
Yes. I'm here.
All right.
Kishan, Alberto suggested that you might be able to provide a response on how a Rotary Club can source some funding for their microcredit projects.
Thanks, Alberto, and thanks, Nick. I remember meeting in Houston, Nick, together we discussed. Well, we are hosting every Thursday, every third Thursday of the month, sorry, Tuesday of the month, a global grant meeting. It's a live workshop where we try to find partners for the international global grants on the spot. That means you bring your project and we try to partner you, we match you with a different club who has the funds and your funds, and by that exchange mechanism, we help both the clubs to find international partners so that they could submit their project to Rotary Foundation. That's our objective. In last 2.5 years, we have had 450 global grant projects through these meetings. So everyone is welcome. As Nick said very rightly, one can put the project details in matchinggrants.org. Matchinggrants.org. Please put your project there and look for our announcement in Facebook, in WhatsApp groups for the next meeting of the next month. And you can come and we will try to help you to find your international partner so that in turn you can apply for a grant to Rotary Foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kishan. We do have another question from Noradin with the Rotary Club of Manila, Fort Santiago. Are there any minimum requirements for projects to be considered by RAGCED for assistance? I don't know, Nick, if you want to get into this one as well. You're muted.
You need to unmute. There we are. No. We will work with, by the way, if you want RAGCED assistance, you not need to use Rotary Foundation as your funding source. It doesn't have to be a global grant or a district grant. In fact, the majority of community economic development projects that are done in the world are funded locally by Rotarians. So we'll help you no matter how small or how big your project happens to be.
Very good. Thank you, Nick. Alberto, I think you wanted to make some additional comments as well.
It fits like a glove after the comment that that Nick just made. One of the reasons why we need to be open about trying to get sources locally for microfinancing and community development projects is because those are the projects that actually are in the eye of the local communities, like local authorities, like mayors, authorities from the municipalities and so forth. That's the first thing. Second is that I'm a cadre of the Rotary Foundation. Right now, I'm a coordinator for one of the themes. But what we see is that sometimes the one size fits all in terms of the Rotary Foundation requirements for global grants, they are very difficult for microfinancing, for microcredit. Why? I'll give you an example. Here in Brazil, we have stiff regulations for microcredit or microfinancing. A Rotary Club would be will have a legal requirements to be filled before they can intermediate a microfinancing project, okay? Even if they receive the funds from the Rotary Foundation. So the RAGCED, as Nick has very well said, will help you to model. The important thing is to model your project. And by modeling the project is conducting that community assessment needs that fits very well with a solution that is more appropriate for that particular case. And the last thing I want to say is that RAGCED has promoted, and Nick was very humble in saying this, and Margaret Williamson is here, but the launch my city projects are very interesting. You know, these are models that were very well advanced in the time that they were put together when they were talking about the need to have mentors and networking associated with microloans. So the key, the real reason why those projects have such a high repayment rate is because they have a helping hand conducting those new entrepreneurs into their businesses, hand to hand with experienced Rotary or non-Rotary mentors in business. And that is the key to that. So those are just a couple of the comments I wanted to make on top of what Valerie, Steve, and Rickard and Nick made. And by the way, very, very valuable information, and your presentations were excellent. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Alberto. We have another new question. And I'll just read it out, if our livelihood community needs services like project analysis, strategic planning, and project implementation, and sustainability, how is it done? Will you send your experts? Are there local RAGCED counterparts in Manila, Philippines, who could extend RAGCED expertise? Maybe, if you don't mind, maybe I can answer this one. I just returned from the Philippines. On Tuesday, we formalized a RAGCED chapter, a Philippines chapter of RAGCED. and it's being headed up by Past District Governor Jesse Sifra. And Marissa, I'm sure you probably know Jess. More information is going to come out to Rotarians in the Philippines about the chapter. So yes, the experts are on the ground, on site, that you can reach out to. And you asked if they're experts, and I would say yes, definitely they're experts in these microcredit projects. In fact, a few of the projects that I visited while I was in the Philippines over the past week and a half were Rotary Community Corps projects, and one was a livelihood community project on ham making. So, and I saw how the local Rotarians are impacting the needs of some of these communities. So I would say then reach out to Past District Governor Jess Sifra, and you'll get your information. I don't know, Nick, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Jim. RAGCED has literally recently, like in the last month, begun to create local chapters. Chapters are associated with districts, and I think as the question indicated, there's tremendous benefit to putting expertise as close as possible to where the projects are being done. RAGCED will help train the local chapter, will communicate with them, will provide support to them, but that way you have somebody local who can help you do many of the things that you are talking about. If you're interested in a chapter in your particular area, again, send an email to info@ragced.org and someone will get back to you to help the planning process.
Very good, Nick. Christina, it's 10:08. I'm not sure how much time we have left.
I think we can entertain one more question. There's another last one.
You heard Christina. Does anybody else have a question?
Yeah, there's
quickly on
another
the
one in
chat.
the chat group. Yeah. There's another one from Fidel Malbas. Is the
Oh, yes.
template? Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yes, Fidel is asking, is the template the same with the global grant in applying for microfinance projects? Nick?
No, it is basically the same. But if you're doing a microfinance project, there is additional information that needs to be provided. And if Bonaventure is still on, he may want to talk to that specifically, but there are additional forms and that have to be completed if you're doing a project that is microfinance. The other thing to remember is that if you're doing this with Rotary Foundation funds, the Rotary Club cannot handle the funds, cannot be the bank for multiple reasons. One of which that it's a continuing revolving fund. So you have to find a financial partner that conforms to whatever the rules are in that particular country who will be allowed the recipient of the money who will manage the funds, or the other option is, as they did in Mubende, Uganda, is to create up a village savings group that continues the management of the funds. So yes, there are, and when you report, there are additional forms that need to be completed. And again, we have experts in RAGCED who can help you with all aspects of creating, planning, submitting, and implementing a global grant.
Nick, you mentioned Bonaventure might have a comment on this as well. Bonaventure, are you still here with us? Yeah, I show him.
Yeah, he was here. You should be here, Bona. You'll be.
Thank you so much. I think
Yeah,
yes, Nick answered the question very well. Yes, it is still the same format, but you need more information. especially on a form called supplement. And on that form, you need to make sure that you have a cooperative organization, a local microloan institution that you have selected to be part of it. And also on that form, we request the interest rate you want to apply for that loan. Well, that's basically it. So beside that, I think it's the same format. And if you reach out to people from RAGCED, they should be able to help you through the process, or you can even reach out to me directly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bonaventure. As Christina said, that's all our time for questions on this webinar. If you have any questions, and Nick's mentioned the website to reach out to several times. It's info@ragced.org. Please reach out to us, and somebody will definitely respond to you. Christina, maybe you can let everybody know that this session has been recorded and will be available for those people that could not attend today or were late coming in.
Yep, it will be posted in our Facebook page, the recording of this series, this program. Okay, so we're okay with the Q&A. So we will proceed with Margaret for the awarding of certificates. Okay, hold on. Let me just post the certificate. It compliments from, oh, hold on. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Margaret.
Right. Yes, thank you, Christina. This certificate is representative of the certificates that we will give to our speakers today. And on behalf of the RAGCED board, please accept the certificate that is a token of our appreciation for your participation in the webinar today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. We greatly appreciate it. And this is to Nick, Valerie, Steve. Okay, the three, okay. And you will receive your certificate, but thank you so much for participating in our first webinar. And now back to you, Christine.
Thank you. So for before we do the closing remarks, there might be other announcements that you want before I do some announcements. Margaret.
Oh, you want me to, okay, to do it now? Okay, I was gonna do the close, but I want to give a special thank you to you, Christina, for organizing the webinar today, and to all who provided technical support. And our next webinar is scheduled for September 28th at the same time, 5 p.m. GST. And we hope you will join us. And after the webinar, expect to receive a survey. And this survey is something that we will use to let us improve what we have done today and to be more effective. And just best wishes to all of you.
Thank you, Margaret. So I posted the link of the survey. We will really appreciate if you can answer. It's less than 5 minutes to answer our survey, so we can hear from your side as well. And of course, I would like to acknowledge our, hold on, let me share this. Our co-host clubs, Rotary Club of Anguin Mamiri, which is represented by Andy. Andy, are you there? Say hi.
Andy left the meeting.
Oh, Andy left. Okay. And Rotary Club de Brasilia International. Alberto, you can say hi.
Hi.
And of course, Rotary Club of Manila 101, District 3810.
Christina, say hi.
Yes, represented by our president. There's our president, Paz Calagyan Mejia. Paz, are you still there? Say hi. Okay. I think I can find. okay, on behalf of Rotary Club. And if any one of you would like also to co-host, there you are, Paz, unmute.
Hi, thanks. Good evening to all, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Okay. So
I also wanted to share that for future webinars, we'll try to get interpreters for Spanish and Portuguese. And our system here has also a channel for providing interpretation in other languages. So if you know someone that wants to help with interpretation, simultaneous interpretation of the next meetings, please let me know, and we'll get them set up for doing that in the next meetings.
thank you, Alberto. And we are also happy if anyone interested to co-host our next 8 more series, 8 more sessions of our series. This is just the first of the 9. So we're gonna do this every month. I hope you'll complete your attendance. Maybe Margaret will have a surprise. Just kidding. So anyway, to give the closing remarks, I would like to call the RI Area of Focus Manager of CED Programs and Grants, Bonaventure Pandohan.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everyone who have joined us today. In April 2022, this year, NGO, somebody's talking. Yeah, Oxfam, an NGO of UK, have published an article about hunger in the world. In that article, they say that 250 million of people this year will go to bed hungry because of COVID-19, because of the war in Ukraine. That gives us, as a people of action, an opportunity to act, to make change in our community, to support our district. We can do that. Even we don't have a resource, we can talk to somebody. And today, RAGCED offered that opportunity. If you don't know RAGCED in the past, go to the website, check what they do, reach out to somebody, and even try, if you can, to form a chapter. It was an honor, very be happy to help you, very be happy to support you. Even through your global grant, very advise you. We are happy to be here, and we will continue to do this webinar for the next 2-3 months. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. And we expect to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bona. Correction, in the next 8 months. Not just 3 to 4 months. Okay. So I would also like to acknowledge, of course, thank you to our technical and support organizing this program, Wally and Roberto. Okay. Wally is our RAGCED CADWE technical representative, and Roberto is our public image director. Right, Wally, you there? Say hi.
Thanks, Christina. Pleasure to help.
Okay, Roberto, are you still there?
Still here, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So again, everyone, thank you so much for staying, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. And watch out for that on our Facebook, our next topic, and the next speakers for our event. Thank you. Good evening, good morning, good day, good night to everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Global
Bye,
everywhere.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye,
Thank
goodbye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you again. Thank you.